I would like to teach you now my maybe very favorite cheese making recipe. The reason it's my maybe very favorite cheese making recipe is because it's unbearably easy. In fact, I've often wondered why everybody's not making it, and the recipe is sour cream. Growing up, I only bought sour cream, or I only knew store-bought sour cream. And then as I began to learn cheese making, I put the simple equation together that if you simply inoculate cream, heavy cream, with some cultures, here's buttermilk, and you give those cultures time to digest the sugar in the cream, the lactose, they will naturally thicken the cream. This recipe is one that anybody can make. Doesn't matter if you have a thermometer, doesn't matter if you have fancy, organic, grass-fed cream or more mass-produced, less fancy, less nice cream. It is a recipe that I'm just deeply in love with it. Let's just say that. So how do you make sour cream, which incidentally is almost identical to making Mexican crema and creme fraiche. To me, as a cheesemaker, think of all those three, creme fraiche, sour cream, crema, as roughly the same process. Basically the same process, not roughly. So here's how I do it. I take a pint of cream. I would highly advise you to buy the nicest cream that you do have available. So look for something that is not ultra pasteurized. That tends to be a brand that is local, produced within your region. I happen to live in San Francisco where we have beautiful, beautiful heavy cream available. But it doesn't have to come in a glass jar. It doesn't have to be organic. It just tastes better if it does. So take your pint of cream, and then you want to warm it up to room temperature. A quick way to do that would be to just pour that into a pot, warm it up on the stove. If you're lazy, like I am, the easier way to do it is to leave the cream out for about an hour on a regular October day. Take not that long and just a little bit of time. You take your thermometer, your calibrated thermometer, check if the temperature is in that range of room temperature. Spot on, 73. So if it's a little bit out of range, I don't worry. That's why I said this is one of my very favorite cheese making recipes, the one that everybody can do, the one that you don't even have to be a kitchen nerd or a foodie or a cook. You can still make this recipe with your eyes closed. My room temperature cream, I add it to a clean jar. I just run mine through the dishwasher along with the lid. Make sure it's dry. As you've heard me say before, and as you'll hear me say again, I always like to choose the products which are really fresh. So if I know I'm gonna make sour cream, I get sour cream and I make it into sour cream within a day or two. I try not to start off with really old milk or really old cream. So this cream, just got it at the store this morning. To 1 pint of my room temperature cream, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of cultured buttermilk. So the buttermilk I just got it at the store. It's nothing fancy. The only important thing for you to remember is that it needs to be cultured buttermilk. Most buttermilk is cultured buttermilk, but some buttermilk actually is just directly acidified. On that note, if you've ever made buttermilk the quick and dirty way, like the Sunday you woke up and wanted pancakes and then you realized you didn't have buttermilk and so you said, oh, I can just make my own buttermilk by putting vinegar into milk. Have you done that? Well, if you haven't, no, don't worry about it. If you have, that buttermilk doesn't work. And any buttermilk that doesn't say the word cultured on it won't work. But most buttermilk is cultured and most buttermilk will work. So just take a tablespoon of it, pour it, dump it into your cream, stir it in gently, cover it up. And now take this inoculated, fermenting jar of cream, heavy cream, whipping cream, and set it in a place that you don't have to worry about it for about a day, day and a half, 2 days. I'll just set it back here on the counter. I'm gonna forget about it, and that's a good thing. So it's been 1 day since I inoculated the cream with the buttermilk, and I just wanna check on it and see if it's looking like sour cream. Let's see. So, opening it up. So it still looks liquid. It's not looking like sour cream. Still behaving like liquid. Don't worry. If your cream looks like this after 1 day, no problem. Just give it more time. Okay, now 36 hours have passed since I put the buttermilk in the cream. I want to see if anything's changed. Doesn't seem to be sloshing. Looking a little thick. Something has definitely changed. So this is why I love this recipe. 24 to 48 will give you a big window. Hours after inoculating the cream with active cultures, this is what happens to the cream. It thickens naturally, so much that you could hold it upside down. I just find this fascinating. And I find this delicious. The cream has changed from, it's changed from simple sweet to aromatic, a little bit tangy, and so silky on the tongue. At this point, you can stop here, not adding any salt. This is what I would call creme fraiche. If you want, you can also add some salt. I start with a modest amount, about 1/8 of a teaspoon. You can measure it or not. I stir in that salt. And at this point, after it's thickened and I've added the salt, I just go ahead and put it in the refrigerator and it's done. This is sour cream and it's shelf stable for about 3 weeks because I added the salt and because it got tangy or sour. It's not gonna go bad quickly like cream would. Cream, fresh cream in your fridge, it'll get stinky and kind of gross if you leave it and it expires. Sour cream or creme fraiche, on the other hand, it really gains quite a shelf life by being fermented. So the last part of the creme fraiche sour cream crema equation that I wanted to show you was how to turn it into crema. Crema, you probably know as the delicious, slightly more pourable cream that you find on top of tacos. Here's how I do it. I take my finished sour cream. You can do this in the cup that you fermented the cream in if you want, or you can do it in a bowl if you don't have enough space. Oops. I add just a splash of milk because I want to make it a little bit more liquid. And I go ahead and I add a little bit more salt because crema tends to be just a little saltier than regular sour cream. I mix it up. You can see the texture is changing and it's looking like crema. And still, maybe I'll thin it out a little bit more. As I stir it, it'll thin out as well as add milk. My favorite way to store crema is to put it in a squirt bottle, like a plastic squirt bottle with a little nozzle that I trim off, so it's super simple to use it. It's really one of my favorite toppings ever. You can choose whatever fat content, whatever species you want. And the one thing I would add in is the nicer the milk that you choose, the better the kefir is going to taste. That is something that I will preach till the end of my days, that the nicer the milk, the better the cheese, or the better the yogurt, or the better the kefir.